Morning, Dr. Pancholi. This is Jessica, and I have Kit here next to me.
Hi.
Hello.
And our main purpose with this is, we got a copy of your presentation and really just would love to hear you kind of expand upon that, because right now I think that any patient who's paying attention either has an article that is a little bit fear-mongering or, the occasional plastic surgeon weighing in talking about statistical insignificance, which is all kind of confusing. So I want to be able to put something out there that's really addressing the issue and, making sure the facts are coming across without kind of downplaying the fact that it is maybe scary to some people who are getting this information. And so we just kind of wanted to go over that and be able to create something to live on your site that kind of does that. I don't think very many surgeons are directly commenting on it in a way that patients are seeing. So we just kind of drafted some questions, and then, we have a general awareness and understanding of what's going on, but would love to hear in your own words and rely a little bit on your expertise in it to kind of clear things up and get more of a comprehensive look at where we are.
Okay, so the thing with this is I've given a few talks on this topic, and it can be daunting, and I can explain it. Typically when I'm presenting this, I'm presenting it to other physicians. Mm-hmm. And I'm presenting the data that's out there and what I see as potentially industry bias or influence on it, mm-hmm. and how that affects what's being put out to the public, or at least my perception of that. Now, that's based off of the studies that are out there. And the inherent flaw with all of this is that the study is flawed. Mm-hmm. So it kind of keeps running backwards and backwards and backwards to why don't these studies make sense? Within these studies, there have been other surgeons or other doctors that read them and say there are flaws with this. Mm-hmm. The problem that seems to be happening is this. So with all this, I'll go back and put it all in perspective. But essentially, you have two main companies. You have Allergan and you have Mentor.
Right.
And then you have a few other little scattered guys all over the world. When they looked at ALCL and just this incidence, forget what it is, but just this incidence, 84% of them all seem to come from Allergan.
Okay.
And they initially were all thought to happen from textured implants.
Right.
Now, just like Coke and Pepsi have proprietary formulas to come up with whatever Coke and Pepsi is, and people can tell differences and some people can't and all that kind of stuff, proprietary formulas to their flavor. Well, these companies have proprietary formulas to texturing, and they're very proud of them. And they go and they talk about how great one is over the other, until one started getting associated with ALCL.
Right.
Okay.
So Mentor uses a version where they take a sponge and they essentially press it on wet silicone, remove it, and say, there's our texture.
Okay.
Allergan has their silicone. It's dipped in wet silicone. They add salt crystals to it. They let it dry or cure because it's heated. Mm-hmm. Then they go and they rub off or braid the salt crystals away. And now they have kind of sidewalls to their texture, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine a square salt crystal going in. It gets removed. You have all the sides except the top. Mm-hmm. So that is their method of texturizing. Their method seems to be correlated highly with ALCL. The thought is ALCL happens from chronic inflammation.
Okay.
So, is their texturing process, or is it the resultant texture being too much texturing causing inflammation, or something along those lines? Whatever it is, we're not really sure. Mm-hmm. But what came out shortly after this correlation with Allergan implants was another study that said it's not texturing. It happens to be an infection with a particular bug that no one's following anymore. And this bug used to be killed by betadine, but we don't use betadine anymore. So we should start using betadine to kill this bug. Now that study is where another flaw is. And the flaw is that it was done on 21 or something. It's in my presentation. On 20-something capsules, like 22 capsules or 21 capsules. That's it.
Yeah.
And then they found that 51%, or I think out of the 21, it was like 11 of them had this bug, and 10 didn't. The one that they count as the 11th didn't even have that much of this bug represented in their culture. So they went and got these capsules out of people with ALCL cultures of them, and they found 11 of them had this bug. Right? They all had a whole bunch of other bugs, but they said, you know what, this bug seems to show up. They pinned it on this bug, and this bug is called rickettsia.
Okay, I saw that in your presentation. Okay.
So right after all of this, because there's a lot of investigators that are sponsored by implant companies,
Right.
the drum starts to beat. It's rickettsia. It's rickettsia. It's not the texturing. It's rickettsia. It's rickettsia. So rickettsia is found commonly in water supplies.
Okay.
So the thought is, it's sensitive to betadine. The FDA said you should not put betadine inside of an implant. Well, we don't. They didn't say anything about washing the implant with betadine before you put it in the body, or washing the pocket that you're making out with betadine. And a lot of people do this, and a lot of people said we